this tutorial, you will learn how to create a beautiful peyote stitch bracelet with Delica beads. In this first drawing and in the bracelet we make, we're doing it in pairs. This first drawing just shows you a total of 12 beads, 6 pairs. The second drawing shows you how it's going to start to line up. So after you've picked up the 12 beads, you'll pull up 2 beads and you'll put them on top of number 6 and go through the number 5s. Then you'll pick up 2 more beads, go through, they'll sit on the number 4 and go through the number 3, and you just keep going. The third drawing shows you what it will actually look like when you're done with 3 complete rows. In this example, I'm using size 8 seed beads because they're a little larger than the number 11 Delica beads, so it's going to be easier for you to understand what I'm doing with the larger beads. I've got a different color and different size bead. It's a stop bead, and I'm just going to leave a little bit of a tail at the end so I can tie it off at the end of my bracelet. The stop bead will keep the other beads from going off at the end. So right now I'm just going to pick up pairs of black beads. These are once again seed beads. And it's an even number of pairs. This is that example we looked at before. So I've picked up 2 white beads. I'm going to skip over the first pair of beads and I'm going to go to the second pair. As I stated before, you want to keep it with even pairs. If you do an odd amount of pairs, you're going to have to do an extra step and it just makes it a little more difficult. I'm going to pick up 2 more white beads, skip over the next pair of beads, and go into the following pair of beads. And this is one reason I like to have a different size so I don't accidentally go through the seed bead when I'm doing the last pair. Now it gets a little kind of unwieldy at this point, but you just have to wrangle it. Keeps wanting to twist on you, but you'll start to see it's kind of like a brick, like steps, and you'll start to see it take place. So I've picked it up. I'm right-handed, so I've picked it up in my left hand, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up 2 black beads. So if I wanted to do stripes, at this point I'm going to be laying it down on those 2 black beads. So I would pick up black and go through the white beads and pull it tight. I'm going to pick up 2 more black beads because it's going to lay down on those black beads, and I've got it twisted, so I've got to get it back around. Now I'm at the end of this row. If I wanted to keep on with the stripes, I would pick up white next, pick up 2 white, go over the 2 white, and go into the pair of black. I've picked it up and turned it again. Once again, you keep wanting to pull it tight. Picked up the white ones and I'm going to put them into the black. This will lay down onto the white ones. Now you'll notice that I have black in the back. If I had wanted to keep up with the stripe and I didn't alternate like I did in the beginning here, then I can always take off the stop bead and pull those couple of pairs from the back off. Now I'm going to pick up a mixture just so you can see what it's like to not have a pattern. I'm flipping it. I'm going to pick up another 1 black and 1 white. Sometimes I like to alternate if I pick up the black first and the white second, or the next time I may pick up the white first and the black second. You'll see that on the Peyote stitch bracelet we have with the Delica beads. I'm going to flip it back over. Continuing to pull it tight. So now I'm going to start showing you how to begin the bracelet with the Delica beads. I have about 7.2 grams of the purple matte metallic, and I think I have about 7 grams of the silver metallic. This is Wildfire. I used it because I had it on hand. It's not really my favorite. You can find it in your local craft stores. To me, it's not as flexible as the Fireline. Fireline you have to order online. They both come in the white color or black smoky. So this is the Delica beads, size 11. You'll see the larger stop bead in a different color. I do like to use a larger bead with the Delica beads because the size 11 are smaller, and this way I won't be trying to grab it when I'm at the end of a row. So I'm just going to start picking up a pair of beads and skipping over the first pair and going into the second pair. The hardest part probably of this entire bracelet are going to be the first 3 rows. After that, it's golden. So once again, I'm pulling it tight. I'm going to grab the next pair of beads. I'm coming out of the silver, so I'm going to skip over the black and go into the silver. So whatever color I just picked up is going to lay down on top of the black beads. And in the beginning of this bracelet, I did do alternating colors, kind of like a stripe or similar, just to show you. But as I built up the bracelet, I did random. I kind of like the more organic look. So I'm coming out of the silver. Now you'll notice I'm struggling a little here because I did not flip my piece. Remember, I like to put it in my left hand and pull up from the bottom of the beads to the top, and with the Delica beads being so small and it being so tight, it's kind of hard to get in there. So always remember to flip your piece, and it's easier. So you'll notice, as I said before, sometimes I pick up a pair of silver, a pair of purple, sometimes I mix it up. In this instance, I am getting shorter on thread, and so I'm showing you that you're going to be looking at coming out of the bottom on the step of the beads. And right now I'm just tying it off. I'm going to have to tie it off a couple times and weave it back through the bracelet before I cut the thread and start over. You really want to try your best not to end your thread in the middle of a row because it gets really difficult. You're able to do it to start back there, but it's so much easier if you will just end on one of the ends of the rows, tie it in knots a couple times and weave it back through. Here I'm going to tie a knot in the middle of the bracelet instead of on the end. And what you're going to do is pull it through. When you come back up through the other way, you're trying to grab one of those little threads that's in between the beads. You're just going to pull it really tight. Once you pull it tight, you can then weave it back up through the beads and you won't be able to see the knot. Here's that example. So if you do stop and start, you want to definitely start back, like I said, on that lower step of beads. Here's an example. You could just tie it off a couple times and weave it back through. Pick up your 2 beads and you'll notice it'll lay down on that bottom part, and that's what I'm showing you right here. In this example, I've already tied it off a couple of times and woven back through until I came out. Now, what would happen though if you forgot and you had already tied off your thread and it was at the other end of the bracelet? You just weave it back through until you come out of that bottom end. It'd be okay. And just make sure you're coming out the bottom end, picking up your beads and starting from the bottom step of the beads. Goodness, please put a band-aid on. I love these needles, but they are so prickly. And when you're pulling it tight, it will stick you. You'll notice here I did some, like I came out of the silver and started with silver on those right there where you see the little dots. That just means I did like 1 blue and 1 purple and 1 silver, or 1 silver and 1 purple. We're going to use a button with a hole for this one, so you have to build up one side of the bracelet using the peyote stitch, weave it back through the bracelet, and then build up the other side. Here I've put on the beads and I've come out of one side, and you have to determine how many beads you need to fit straight across before you go in the other side. So I've woven back through the bracelet on the first bottom row, pulled up through 2 of the seed beads, and then I loop it over the second row. And if you pull it tight, it will kind of naturally fall down in between 2 of the beads, and then you can either tie it off or you can weave back up through some more of the beads. Now you're going to want to do this probably 3 to 4 times between rows 1 and 2, and then you're going to weave back through and do it again between rows 2 and 3. This gives it more of a strength. It's all together, so when you're trying to put the button in. Here I'm on the other end of the bracelet, and I pick up about 14 beads. I literally have 2 beads left at the end of this bracelet. I think I've lost probably about 15 beads from getting my needles stuck in the mat when I'm trying to pick them up and flicking them across the room. So remember, if you want a longer bracelet or a wider bracelet, you'll definitely want to order more beads. So what I've done is woven it back up through at the other end of the bracelet. I've come up about halfway. I'm putting the 14 beads on there, and I'm going to go through the buttonhole. Now the reason I'm putting extra beads on here and not just attaching the buttonhole straight to the bracelet is when I go to put the bracelet on, I need there to be some room in between the buttonhole and the bracelet for it to actually fit inside the hole that we just created. So I'm going to the other side after I get the beads through the button, and now I'm going to check to make sure that it fits. Once I've determined it fits, then I can either tie it off or weave back through. In this case, I think I just weave back through some of the beads. Because the Delica beads are so small on the inside and we've gone through them, it gives it a good snug fit. I've gone back through the bracelet on the other side, and I'm actually going to tie a knot around in between that last bead and the bracelet. I'm going to pull it tight, but I'm not going to worry about if the knot is right up next to it, because I'm going to be pulling the needle back through the beads, and it can easily pull that knot back up there where you can't see it. I'm doing it again, repeating the same thing on the other side, tying a knot. And here's the bracelet. I think it turned out beautifully.